Okay, lesson 17 is about the number line, fractions, and mixed numbers. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what a fraction is. A fraction is a part of a whole. So when we're talking about a number line, from this number to this number is one whole. And if it's cut in half, that is a half, which means that there are two equal pieces. It's cut into two equal pieces. So what is a mixed number? A mixed number is a number such as 1.5 or 2 2/3, which is a whole number and a fraction. So that's what a mixed number is, a whole number and a fraction. So how do you represent these on a number line? So for each of the integers, that is a whole number. So from here to here is one whole space. From here to here is another whole space. From here to here is another whole space. So if we wanted to represent 1.5, so we go to one whole and a half. So this would be pointing to 1.5. So you can also represent negative mixed numbers. So we have here, if we wanted to say negative 2.5, we would go to negative 2.5. So this would represent negative 2.5 right there. That's not a very good arrow. Right there. Okay, so with that in mind, let's look at this number line right here and see what mixed numbers these arrows represent. Okay, so we have from 0 to 1, that's one whole number. And from 1 to 2 is a whole number. 2 to 3 is a whole number. And to find out the fraction part of it, we have to figure out how many pieces each whole is divided into. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one of these is divided into 5 pieces. So the denominator is going to be fifths because it's divided into fifths. So what would this fraction be right here? Well, we haven't gotten to a whole number yet, so it's not actually a mixed number, it's still just a fraction. So each one of these sections is 1/5. So if this is 1/5, 2/5. So that arrow right there is representing 2/5. Okay, what about this arrow right here? What is this pointing to? So we have one whole, and remember each of these are divided into 5, so the denominator is going to be fifths. We have one whole, and how many fifths? Well, we've just gone over 1, so that's 1 1/5. Okay, so now what is this arrow pointing to? We have one whole, two wholes, and so the whole number is 2, and now how many fifths? 1, 2, 3 fifths. So that would be 2 3/5. All right, so now we're going to talk about a ruler because a ruler is divided into fractions so that you can make precise measurements. So let's pretend like this ruler is blown up big so that each one of these represents 1 inch. Okay, so let's move this over a little bit. So on a ruler, the inch increments have really long lines. Okay, so that's to show you that that is the inch. Okay, so now if we were going to divide each one of these inches in half, we're going to make a line that's not quite as long as the one that represents each inch. Okay, so it'll be a little bit shorter. All right. So what would this be right here? Pointing to this one right here. So that would be 2 whole and a half. So this would be 2.5 inches. Okay, so what if we want to get even more precise than that? We're going to divide each 1/2 inch into half with another line that is still a little bit shorter. Okay, so each one of these inches now is divided into how many? It's divided into fourths. So if I'm talking about this measurement right here, what would that be? That would be 3 whole and 1/4. Okay, so each one of these is 1/4 of an inch. What about this one right here? Okay, so that would be 3 whole and 2/4, or 1/2. So that would be 3 and 2/4, or we could say 3 and 1/2. Okay, so let's divide it up into even smaller increments. So if we're dividing fourths up into smaller increments, then each one of these represents 1/8. And each time we cut it up smaller, the line is a little bit shorter, which will help us to know what division it's divided up into. Okay, so now each inch is divided up into eighths. So what if I was talking about this measurement right here? So we know we have 2 whole, and each one of these is 1/8. Even the ones that are fourths and even the ones that are halves are eighths. So this would be 2 and 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. That would be 2 and 3/8. What if it was right here? We could say 2 and 1/8, 2/8. 2 and 2/8, which is actually 2 and 1/4. Okay, so now let's go one more increment smaller. And what do you think those would be? If you said 1/16, then that would be correct. So we're dividing each inch into 16 pieces. Okay, so this is probably what your ruler at school looks like. All right, so what if we're talking about this one right here? So we come over to 1 whole, and we know these are 16ths, so this would be 1/16, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 and 7/16. Okay, what about, let's see, what about this one right here? Well, that would be 2 whole. Okay, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 2 and 13/16. Okay, that's all.